Well, hello there once again, everyone. It's Weather for Weather Geeks, the Valley's most in-depth weather video. Nothing else like this in our region, and I suspect in a lot of regions. You don't get weather videos like this anywhere online by a local meteorologist. Been doing these for 4.5 years, getting close to 5 years worth of Weather for Weather Geeks videos. Thanks as always to those who have been with me the whole time. And if you're kind of new to this video, this is my chance to really get in depth with the forecast. I have limited time on TV, unlimited time in this video, so I can show whatever I want and talk for as long as I want. And I try to keep these at a reasonable length, but sometimes they get a little long, especially as we start getting into the winter season and the weather gets complicated. All right, let's get to it. 69 degrees our high today. That, of course, above average. Our average high at this time of the year is 60, and it touched 70 in Cleveland, New Philly, and in Pittsburgh earlier on today. And this will be probably the coolest day until next Tuesday. So it's up and away from here. All right, let's check in on the yearly numbers through today's date, October 18th. 2017 is the 7th warmest calendar year on record through today's date. And most of these dates, of course, are in the 1930s. 31, 32, 33, 38, and 39, and 1898 sneaks in there as well. Now, 2012 and 2017, the only modern years on this list. No years between 1940 and 2011 on the list. That's pretty remarkable. But we're just a little behind 2012. I suspect we're going to overtake 2012 pretty easily in the coming days. We'll see how the rest of the year shakes out. All right, does this mean we're going to have a warm winter? Well, our winter forecast is not out yet, but let's review the last 20 winters. Of course, we just had back-to-back real warm winters after back-to-back real cold winters. It's been kind of real up and down over the last several years. We haven't had a just average winter temperature-wise really in about 10 years. Fairly far below the average in 08, 09, 2010, fairly far above the average in 11 and 12, way below in 13 and 14, and way above in 15 and 16. So it's been some pretty wild swings. All right, we have set a tentative date for our winter forecast. It's 2 weeks from tonight, November 1st, I should say, on 21 News at 6 and 11, and that same evening, or maybe even the day before, I will post a much longer version, kind of in the vein of Weather for Weather Geeks. So more detailed, as long as I want to make it, kind of version in which we'll get into a lot more detail about the why behind the forecast and all sorts of other good stuff as well. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. Maybe that long version will get online Halloween evening, so you can load up on candy and then geek out to some weather, perhaps Halloween evening. That's the winter forecast coming up in a couple of weeks. All right, quick explainer graphic. A lot of you, if you're fairly weather savvy or a weather enthusiast, you kind of know this idea, but I did want to talk about it. The pattern overall right now is warmish days and pretty chilly nights. And we've got perfect, what we call radiational cooling conditions. Basically how this works, the sun during the day provides incoming solar radiation, and actually the sun does not heat the air. The sun heats the ground, and then the ground heats the air. That's how temperatures warm. It's actually the ground heating up the air near the Earth's surface. Well, during the nighttime hours, of course, there is no sun up there, and all that radiation that comes in during the day wants to escape back out into space at night, and it can do so very efficiently when we have a clear sky, when we have light winds, and we have dry air. We've got all three of those things. And so after sunset, in this kind of a setup, the temperature drops real quickly, and it gets pretty chilly at night. We dropped into the upper 30s in a lot of places last night. Well, clouds, sometimes we think of clouds kind of like a blanket. When you have some clouds around, especially a thick blanket of clouds, that makes the process of that radiation escaping back out into space much more inefficient. And therefore, temperatures do not cool as much. So that's why, in most cases, a cloudy night will be warmer than a clear night. There's other factors, of course, how much moisture is in the air, what's the breeze doing, but that's the general idea that in a fair weather pattern, a very quiet pattern like this, clear nights are most of the time going to be chillier than cloudy nights. All right, speaking of clouds, there's hardly any once again across the U.S. this evening. A pretty big storm in the Pacific Northwest. This is a blockbuster up here in parts of Washington and northern Oregon. Some showers over Florida and around El Paso, Texas. That is about it. 94 in Phoenix early this evening. It's pretty warm in a lot of places compared to the average, including our early evening temperature of 62. here in Youngstown. All right, let's show you some modeling here as we go out into the future. Smooth sailing through the weekend. Let's start focusing on early next week. This is Sunday night and heading into Monday. A cold front tracking our way. Now, the big question as far as the timing goes on this is, will there be a wave of low pressure that forms along the front, slowing it down? And most of the modeling right now has this, and that would lead some forecasts in the direction of showers mostly later Monday. A slower front means later in the day Monday for those showers. But the front is coming. It is going to cross the area. It's only just a matter of when. And once it does so, it's going to get chilly next week. And this low pressure system along the front will strengthen as it goes up into the Great Lakes, so it's going to get pretty blustery. This is a blustery, chilly-looking weather map for Tuesday afternoon, and again on Wednesday as well. Where'd my isobar go? There they are. There's my isobars, my lines of equal pressure. That's a pretty chilly-looking map, and yes, that's snow up in parts of Canada, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if along the spine of the Appalachians, right like this, from southwest PA through the higher terrain of West Virginia, down towards western North Carolina around Grandfather Mountain and into the Smoky Mountains. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some snowflakes there as well. For us, not expecting snowflakes, but I do think it'll be blustery and chilly, especially on Wednesday. A week from today, we'll be hard-pressed to get above 50 degrees. Well, does the cold have staying power? And I think compared to other cold shots or chilly shots that we've had over the last couple of months, yes, it's not just a one-day deal. Here's a look at the temperature anomalies next week, middle of the week. There's the heart of the cold, Wednesday into Wednesday night. And while the cold should ease some after that, only a little. I think this is a pretty chilly-looking pattern through the final weekend of October. This is next Saturday, the 28th, Sunday, the 29th. Notice the cool temperatures compared to average across the region. Beyond Halloween, this particular run of the European model suggests maybe a warm-up in store compared to the average as we roll into the first couple of days of November. Our confidence decreases, of course, as we go out into that 2-week time frame. But I do think that we've got a good 5-day stretch of pretty chilly weather starting middle of next week, taking us to that following weekend, the last weekend of October. All right, that's it for tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. I'll have another edition Thursday evening, same time, same place, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.